We've got a great guest for you now. Jeffrey Sachs is the director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, and he's the author of The Price of Civilization. Jeffrey, welcome to the Young Turks.
Oh, thanks so much. Good to be with you.
Great to have you here. I've read a lot of your pieces lately. I think they've been great. I particularly liked what you wrote today, a real jobs program, and I want to talk to you about that. First, give me your impression of the jobs proposal that President Obama laid out last week.
Well, unfortunately, and while I support the president, this is really nothing different from what's been going on since he came into office. It's some short-run tax cuts. It's some short-run spending. It is like the original stimulus legislation, and we know that this is just not solving our problems, and it's basically kind of in a rut. There was a lot of pizzazz added to this one, that he's come out fighting, that he's taken the case to the American people, that this is his attempt to reinvent the presidency. But actually, it's essentially the same as we've had since the beginning of the administration, and it's just not working.
So talk to me about that, because, a lot of progressives liked what the president had to say, but I had an uneasy feeling about it for a lot of the reasons that you're mentioning here. But flesh that out a little bit for me. What is it that he's offering that's the same, and what is it that you think he should be offering that would be different?
Basically, what's happening is that the original stimulus legislation, which I didn't like at the beginning, was a grab bag. And the grab bag was, we have a big budget deficit, but we're going to add to it. And we're going to add to it by cutting some taxes for a couple of years, and we're going to give some money to the states, and we're going to pay for unemployment compensation, and we're going to do some infrastructure. And the infrastructure is going to be shovel-ready infrastructure, things we can do right away. And I thought at the time, already back in early 2009, this was really going to backfire, because it was not a strategy. It was just push some money towards the problem in a real grab bag. And in that case, a grab bag of what does Congress want, what can we throw into the pot, let's get it voted. And we didn't get much out of it. It's always hard to say what would have happened without it, but what certainly has not happened is any kind of significant dynamism of our economy, any real strategy, any way out of a very, very deep rut.
Okay,
now,
actually, let me jump in there for a second. Okay, because that's a good point to. So look, a lot of people would say, economists would say, that we created about 2 million jobs because of the stimulus program, and those are, of course, rough numbers, right? Are you saying that that's not good enough, or are you just saying that they're short term? And obviously, that's going to lead to what I asked you earlier, which is, then how would you create jobs that were, quote unquote, more permanent?
I think that there are two problems with the claim about this stimulus. One is that we actually don't have any real evidence that it created 2 million jobs. That number that's used is a mechanical calculation, not based on evidence, but based on what the mathematical models predicted already before it was started would happen, and then running through the given size of the tax cuts, the given size of the spending, and the prediction, what's called the multiplier, of what's supposed to come out of that. But it's a little bit shaky, because what was also said at the time was, if we do this, the unemployment rate will peak at 8%, and by now would be under 7%. But of course, we have an unemployment rate of 9.1%. So it didn't do what it was predicted to do. Now they say, well, it still created 2 million jobs, because it would have been 2 million jobs worse had it not been for this. But there's no real evidence for that. So the calculation is based on a guess, not on the evidence. That's the first point. Second, as the stimulus is wearing off, and basically it's fading away, what the White House is trying to do is do one more push so that it doesn't fade away before the November 2012 election. Now, if stimulus works the way they say, well, maybe there'd be a little bit of short-term push. I don't know. But what's certainly the case is that the first round didn't get us out of the rut. and there's no reason to believe that this one is anything more than, at best, a short-term palliative. So
Jeffrey, I got to be honest with you.
Sure.
I totally agree with you.
All right, that's tough.
Yeah, look, this is a tough interview, okay? I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
100% agreement. No, seriously, I had the same issues with the stimulus. That's why I've said for the last 3 years I was not one of the progressives who thought the stimulus rocks, let's add more to the stimulus. Well, first of all, a third of it was in tax cuts, which we know don't work.
Exactly. And here it is again, this time not just a third, it's a half. And so it's so weird to me. We know that actually from a progressive point of view, if I could put it that way, the deepest problem is we don't have the revenues needed to do the things that we really need to do, which is investing in our infrastructure, investing in skills, helping kids who can't finish a college degree because tuition is so high actually finish their degree, helping young kids get preschool. We don't have the revenues. And this president keeps cutting the taxes, as if this is somehow a progressive problem-solving agenda, and he's done it again with the proposal this week. But more deeply, I think we need to understand, and this is what I was writing about today, the problems we have are not, at least in my opinion, short-term cyclical problems. When a kind of Keynesian economist, the one that likes these stimulus approaches, thinks about the economy, what they think about is an economy that is kind of going up and down, subject to shocks, and when you have a bad shock, you offset it with a temporary positive stimulus. And I think this is the wrong approach to what we're seeing in the United States. In my view, what we're seeing in the United States is a deep structural problem. We're not able to adjust yet to the rapid changes of the world economy, most importantly, the rise of China. Because as China has expanded, it has absorbed millions and millions of manufacturing jobs that were formerly employing high school graduates who could earn a kind of middle class, not a affluent, but a middle class foothold in the American economy with a high school degree. Those jobs are gone, and they've been gone for 10 years. And we need to face the new reality of the world economy. What are we going to do about that?
So,
the most important thing is we've got to train our, young people need skills so that they can be more productive and be able to compete effectively against low-skilled workers and low-wage workers in other parts of the world. We're not getting anything like that approach. No one's thinking right now. The Republicans, who I find absolutely abominable on all of these issues, much worse than the White House, they say, well, just cut taxes for the rich, eliminate government, and we'll basically just double down on the disaster that we've had over the last 20 years of the greatest inequality of wealth and income in this country's history.
Right.
That's what they want. Now, unfortunately, what I would have called my side of this debate doesn't think strategically, only short-term tactics. What can we do this month? What can we do this quarter? How do we capture the centrists in the next election? And there is no strategy, and unfortunately there hasn't been one since the beginning of the administration.
All right, so we're having a conversation that almost never happens in the media in the first place, in pointing out the problems, not just clearly on the Republican side, but also in the short-term thinking on the Democratic side. I don't think, obviously, the Republican ideas, as we've discussed, more spending cuts, more tax cuts, they're not going to work. President Obama, as you pointed out, his plans are short-sighted. We agree. Now let's get to the harder part of the conversation, which is how do you fix it, right? So now you mentioned the more education, et cetera, but Jeffrey, look, I don't know that those manufacturing jobs are coming back. So, for example, earlier in the show, we showed the stats. We used to be at 28% of our GDP was in manufacturing back in the 1950s. Now it's a little under 12%.
That's right.
China's at 25%. So they've gotten the jobs. But even if our employees are more skilled, they're still cheaper, and they've got their employees with a decent level of skills already. So I don't know how we get it back. I'm not sure I have the answer.
Yeah, it could be right, but let me, what you're saying, and I do think we're in a different world economy than we know. So there's a lot of art in this to try to figure out the best approach. But let me tell you what I find persuasive. If you look at the most recent unemployment data, if you have a bachelor's degree or higher, the unemployment rate is 4.6%. That is for college grads. If you have some college, but not a degree, a bachelor's degree, the unemployment rate's 8.5%. If you have at the top a high school degree, there's a 9% unemployment rate. And if you have under a high school diploma, it's 13%, 13.3% unemployment rate. There's a lot of evidence in a lot of different directions, from the income levels, from the participation in the labor force, from the stability of the work, from the unemployment rate, that the higher education, people are finding their way in our economy. And indeed, if you're lucky, have been fortunate, you come from a affluent family, they've been able to pay your tuition, you had good schools all the way through, you got through university, you're doing pretty well in this economy. After all, for you, China means low-cost consumer goods, and you have your job. And maybe China is demanding what you have, which is higher technology products and services. So I think that we should still make our bet on education. Exactly what kinds of jobs will this be? How much will be in manufacturing? How much will be in the service sector, which often, by the way, is associated with manufacturing, but it's more on the design side or the information technology side and so forth. I don't think we know, because we're in a different kind of world economy from anything we've ever experienced before. But I do think the evidence is strong that just pushing out money when kids can't finish school right now, and all the evidence is you can't finish school, you can't get the degree, you're not going to have stable middle-class employment.
It's a sugar high. Even if it works a little bit, as you said, it's designed to work only in the short term. It leaves us with nothing at the end.
You know what's also so frustrating, by the way, I mean, there are a couple of more things that I'm very frustrated by. First, we know our infrastructure is dilapidated, and especially, again, if you have a good chance and you're lucky for whatever reason, your job or whatever, that you can travel abroad. And you go to places we call developing countries, the airports are sparkling, the monorails, the rest of the infrastructure, and you come back to our airports in the United States, and they were built in the 50s and 60s, and they are grimy, and they're breaking down, and the roads and the highways are from the 50s and 60s and so on. We need infrastructure, but there's no such thing as shovel-ready infrastructure. This was one of the myths. Again, it was one of the easy gimmicks of politicians that want easy gimmicks. We have to plan. What kind of transport system do we want? What kind of energy system? How are we going to have an energy system that is compatible with our needs of the environment and safety and security? How are we going to tap solar and wind? That's not something that you get out of a shovel-ready program. That's something that you plan over the course of 10 or 15 years, and you make a strategy and you explain to the American people why this is good for us from the point of view of our safety, environment, and many other factors. But it's not a gimmick for 1 to 2 years. It's not weatherizing schools, and that's the full picture.
So, Jeffrey, let me double down on what you said and then actually run a proposal by you. Well, first of all, I came to this country in 1978, and when we did, my family was amazed at some of the state-of-the-art stuff. But a lot of that state-of-the-art stuff hasn't changed since 1978.
That's it.
And it's no longer state-of-the-art, and we think we're never going to fix those or never going to repair those, and things are going to be fine. That's why bridges like the one in Minnesota collapsed. Second of all, you do a sugar high by taking away payroll tax or lowering payroll tax, but then what do you do when the bill comes due for Social Security that the payroll tax pays for? So I'm with you. These proposals, even the so-called good ones by Obama, are short-sighted, and I don't think help the overall problem. But so let me run an idea by you. So based on what you're saying, right? So what if we did a midterm solution of right now the country requires, another story we did earlier today, $2 trillion in infrastructure. We did that spending. And we also did a spending on a whole new energy grid that takes in renewable energy. Okay?
Absolutely.
And we did that investment. And then we said, hey, you know what? Going forward, education, if you pass certain exams, et cetera, is free, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'm with you on all of it.
Now, if you do all of that, that covers your, not too much in the short term, but it gives you midterm and it gives you long term in terms of the education, right? And that's a real plan.
Even short term, it's not just jobs, it's helping young people get out of unemployment, back into school, and back into training. And we keep forgetting that part of it. You don't have to be at a job, but you could be at school. And this could really apply for lots and lots of people in this country.
So we agree, and we're like-minded here, obviously, but we agree that that's something that would be dramatic, that would restructure our economy so we can actually be competitive and have real jobs here in the next 10, 15, 20 years and beyond. Now, what do you think the chances of that ever passing Congress is?
I think, by the way, that Obama let this opportunity slip through his fingers in early 2009 when Rahm Emanuel said that a crisis is too important to waste, and they wasted it in the sense that he had majorities in both houses. Yes, there was the filibuster issue, but with leadership, with the public backing, with a sensible program, not throwing everything in 6 weeks into a stimulus sugar high, as you rightly call it, but rather saying, I'm going to lay out a framework for change for the coming decade for America. He could have put this through. Our political system can respond to strong leadership. And everybody was expecting that. I was expecting a kind of New Deal, and that's what we needed. And I was expecting a leader who, like FDR, faced down the super rich, who in FDR's time and our time are also super greedy. It seems to come together. Not everyone, so I just want to be clear. But my God, we've got an elite on Wall Street and in the CEOs and so forth that are so aggressive to accumulate absolutely unprecedented wealth and to absent themselves from any seeming responsibility in this country, and often even from following the law. So what Obama needed to say right at the beginning was, we have a long-term strategy, and here's how we're going to pay for it. These corporations, and it's our best friends, whether it's GE or whether it's Google or whether it's others, parking their international profits in tax havens abroad with the connivance of the IRS. This is all agreed. This is not, just putting it in disguise. This is agreement with the government, because these are politically powerful companies. We're going to get these companies to pay their taxes, and we're going to get the rich to pay their taxes, and we're going to recognize that since 1981 we have had the most astounding accumulation of wealth and income at the very, very top that we have ever seen in this country's history. And today there was just another one of these incredible things. Steve Schwartzman, who's one of this country's and indeed one of the world's richest people, has an article in the Financial Times where he's saying, "Okay, I'm ready to participate. I'll do my fair share." So you're saying, okay, that's nice. And then you read the fine print, and what does Mr. Schwartzman say? He says, yes, we ought to look carefully at proposals like a flat tax. We ought to really all pitch in with entitlements reform. And, you realize...
What a joke.
What kind of world are these people living in? They have billions and billions of dollars. I think they really don't have an idea of what's happening in this country. And if they do have an idea, it's shocking what they say. But we ought to be taxing these people straight out, because they have more than they could ever use in 100 lifetimes.
Right.
And the idea that this is somehow important for their well-being, that they get to keep their 10th billion or the 20th billion dollars and so forth, is so abusive of the reality that we face today in this country.
Right. So, and by the way, I'm going to end on a depressing note here because, first of all, the Obama administration and the Republicans appear to have agreed already that in their super committee they will do corporate tax cuts.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it because they're all bought.
I'll tell you why. Because the big mistake in analyzing our country is the idea that there's gridlock because of opposition between the Democrats and the Republicans. The truth is that in both parties, our politicians are utterly dependent for campaign financing on the same rich people and on the same corporations. And Obama goes to the same fundraisers on Wall Street, and he goes to the same $35,800 a plate dinners. And so we have agreement between the two parties. We have two right-of-center political parties right now that keep coming up with tax cuts as the solution to large budget deficits and underfinanced public goods. And
so,
it is not
Jeffrey,
an accident. We're stuck. That's the problem.
Right. So that's my last question to you. Unless we do campaign finance reform of some sort, there's no hope, is there? I mean, because who's going to win the next election? Either it's going to be Perry, a lunatic, or it's going to be Romney, a total and utter corporate robot who says we should do $7.8 trillion worth of tax cuts. That's his so-called jobs proposal. Or you're going to get Obama, who you and I know, based on experience, based on what we talked about in this conversation, is not going to do any of this the investment that we just discussed. He's going to do the more of the short-term stuff. So,
you know what's going to change this country? The truth is Obama revealed something in 2008 that's extremely important. He didn't quite do it the way we thought, but he showed that with the social media, it's possible, actually, I believe, to win an election in this country with only small campaign contributions. No PACs, no super PACs, no bundlers, and so on. That's my theory of what the social media allows right now. If somebody comes forward and says, I accept no corporate contributions, we have no PACs, no super PACs, I'm looking for no large contributions, nothing over $100, and I'm not doing any TV advertising, and I'm not going to be beholden to anybody, and I am just going to accept up to $100. I want people to get involved. And if 1 million people give me $100, that's plenty to win the presidency in this country with the new media.
Right.
And this is what's actually, in the end, going to break this, because these rich people and these companies are on a bluff that we have bought. And the bluff is that there's no way to fight them because they have more money than Kingdom Come, and that they're relentless. And they are relentless in what they'll spend. But in the end, it won't count because people in this country are so fed up that you don't need big money to win the presidency. And Obama almost said that that's what he was doing. The fact is that, unfortunately, he only went halfway in 2008 because he also had the bundlers. He also had Wall Street. He went with the big boys while seeming to go with the small contributors. But somebody that does it honestly and that refuses the $35,800 dinners and doesn't try to get a $1 billion campaign war chest is going to be a hero of the American people precisely for rejecting that big money. And that's when the country's going to change.
All right. Jeffrey Sachs, he's the director of Earth Institute at Columbia University. He's also the author of The Price of Civilization, wrote a great blog today called The Real Jobs Program. Jeffrey, thanks so much for coming on the Young Turks. We really appreciate it.
Well, great to be with you. Thank you so much.
All right.